We back. My bad, y'all. What's up, y'all? How's everybody doing, man? We are going. So I just got back from Cancun. I've been gone for a week, and I'm happy to be back. It was good. It was an amazing time. I love Cancun, especially if you've never been to Isla Mujeres. Let me show y'all Isla Mujeres. It's so dope, bro. Have any of y'all been there? It's such a gem. I don't want to share it too much. But bro, you get there. And you rent a golf cart. You rent a golf cart and you just drive around like it's like, man, it's so dope. I don't know if this is, I don't even know if this is gonna do it justice.
Boasts one of the best beaches in the world, has some terrific restaurants, bars.
Bro, when he says some of the best beaches in the world, he's not playing. Wait till y'all see the video I'm gonna drop on Instagram to show, because you guys know whenever I do a trip, I try to do a like an Instagram reel to kind of show not just that, but it's like our home videos. I know, when my kids get older on Christmas, we might just throw them on the TV and enjoy it. But anyways, man, the crystal clear blue water.
And a shopping district, all within walking distance from the ferry. But there is so much more to experience on this island.
So that's the golf carts. You rent them and you just drive around, man.
And one popular way to get around is by renting a golf cart.
Look. Everybody got golf carts. In this
video, we talk about renting a golf cart on the island, important things you should know about driving a golf cart on the island.
It ain't that serious. It's easy. Just don't be drinking. You can't drink. It's a $600 fine. They won't put you in jail, but you'll get a $600 fine. But you could walk anywhere in the town with a beer in your hand, bro. Let me see. Like, bro, there's shopping. There's look at the beach. Look at that water, bro. Iguanas everywhere. Like, I haven't even seen this video, but it's so dope just being able to drive around all the shops, all the coffee, taquerias, all the restaurants and bars and lounges, and you just pulling up with your family, with your friends in golf carts. Man, and it's a town, bro. It's like a big island. It's a big island. Some beautiful houses, and it's cheap as hell. Like, this is a gem. I hope this is a bad idea, me showing you guys this, because I've been here 3 times. That's how much I like it.
They have a mix of newer and older carts. Their standard 4-seat cart seats 2 people forward and 2 people backwards. They also tires was bald, but it didn't seem to affect anything. Their pricing seemed to be comparable and included gas and insurance. They do have high PayPal and less expensive. Overall, I would say both companies were easy to deal with, and their cart.
You could do scooters too, but the golf carts are better.
It's not easy to turn this wheel at all.
Because every now and then, it might rain. It's like Florida, where it's on and off. Man, yo, Mexico City, same thing. I heard it's amazing. Marv. What's good, bro? Man, my system's all set up. That's not supposed to look like that. Especially Marv on here. What's up, bro? All right, so real quick, I want to show you guys what we're doing here with the stocks. All right, so last month, you guys know we did $7,500 in profit. Let's see what we're doing this month so far. Let's see. All right, what the helly? Bro, all of this stuff I thought I already fixed for y'all. And then this thing wants to embarrass me in front of all my friends. All right, there we go. So you guys can see these are my positions. We're 77% realized. I need to close that. I should just go ahead and close that or roll it. This one's 70%, same thing. We're a little bit over halfway through the month. This one's at 70%. I opened up Palantir yesterday and I closed Palantir. So we got some realized gains there. Tesla, remember this thing was down. This thing was down 250% at one point. We back, baby. We back. All right, but let me show you guys my closed positions. So we're up $2,400 for the month so far. Last month we did 75. We're up $2,400 for this month. And I think by the end of this month, if we close each of these trades, that's 900, that's 1,300, that's 21. We're going to call it 2,200 because of this. 22, 27. $3,600 will go up another 3,600, which would put me up at $6,000 for the month. But we're 18 days in. If I had not gone on vacation, I probably would have already closed these and been a new position and collected even more premium. Like, y'all don't need to be day trading, bro. Y'all don't need to be. If you make good money with the main thing, be smart, because this is profits. That doesn't include what I've made this year from VOO, which I think I'm up 10%. Or no, VOO is up like 6%, and QQQ's up 10%. So I'm up with these, 10%. So I've made $1,181 here this year so far from that. I've made VOO, I'm probably broke even, you know. But y'all get what I'm saying, like. And I put $30,000 into this account. This is with 30 grand. I've already made $14,000-$15,000. You know what I mean? You don't have to day trade is all I'm saying. But everybody wants to day trade. Everybody wants to trade and all that stuff, bro. This is cash flow. This is passive income. This is not watching the stock market and boom. Yeah, I watch it because I have to. My businesses, and not just that, but like a lot of it has nothing to do with like the stock market. You're just paying attention to what's going on in the world. You're existing. you're seeing what's going on in the world. You're paying attention, right? Like, for example, let's check out what's going on in Iran, because I've not caught up. Thank you, Ma. Appreciate you, bro.
And here we go. Israeli jets streaking through the skies over Iran, hammering military targets, including missile launchers and Iranian.
So why do I watch this stuff? Why do I keep up with it? Well, it affects the markets. It affects the economy. It affects the decisions that the Fed makes, that our politicians makes, that affect us and our businesses. And if you know what's going on in the world, then you know, I probably ain't going to open I might look at this and say, I'm probably not going to open a new position. Like it looks like especially if we see Israel and Iran is about to go to full throttle war, I probably will with pounds here. It's a defense stock, right? But am I going to do that with an oil company? Hell no. Well, maybe. You got to do your due diligence, but you know that affects it, right? So it's really not that difficult. People make it more difficult than it needs to be. And guys, wait till I show y'all some of the stuff I've been doing here, man. I'm gonna catch y'all up in a little bit, but let's keep watching this because I don't know what's going on.
This as Iran continues firing missiles into central Israel and now warning if the U.S. gets involved, there will be, quote, serious, irreparable consequences.
And Mike Tobin is live in Tel Aviv with the latest for us. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ainsley. Now, this is a nightly routine, but people here in central Israel were sent running for the bomb shelters in the middle of the night with more Iranian ballistic missile attacks. Two attacks came just after midnight local time. The IDF says some 30 launches of missiles were detected. The missile defense systems did their job.
Damn, look at that, bro.
Explosions in the sky over Tel Aviv.
Look at that.
The IDF says that several missiles did get through, resulting in damage but no injury. Remarkable video from the sky over Jerusalem as a ballistic missile re-enters the atmosphere, creating a fireball in the sky.
Iran missiles killed 24 people, wound 800 plus in Israel. You know how much worse that could have been? We need a golden dome.
The IDF says no injuries as a result of that missile either. The IDF confirms one of the drones is down. Iran claims to have shot it down. Israel says no one was hurt, and the wreckage of the drone will not provide an information breach to the Iranians. Iran's supreme leader sent a message over Iranian TV. He refused President Trump's demand for unconditional surrender and threatened irreparable consequences if the U.S. gets directly involved. That was a threat echoed by a top Iranian diplomat.
We are totally ready to give appropriate response. We will start responding to United States.
Bro, if Iran does not this is a death wish. I don't know if y'all have seen, we've been watching this shit. We've been following this stuff. I don't know if y'all have seen the weapons America has these days. Between China and America, they got some crazy weapons, but America got some insane weapons. Well, we got fighter jets now that are half the size of this, but just as effective. Nobody's flying in it, and controlled completely by AI. It's crazy. They're going to send a bunch of them over there.
Israeli fighter jets were busy in the skies over Iran last night. They hit 5 attack helicopters that were on the ground, according to the IDF, as well as hitting production sites and launchers for ballistic missiles. Also hit some key nuclear enrichment sites on the ground in Tehran. The Israeli Air Force now boasts air superiority over Iran, saying that they have badly degraded the air defenses to such an extent they can fly over Iran without much risk of being shot down. Guys, back to you.
So, with the Ayatollah's statements, does that make one think that we should worry about our assets in the region, Michael?
Well, you do see some repositioning of the missile launchers from Iran, which is not entirely clear if they are repositioning to aim at U.S. bases, say, in Iraq or some other locations. But clearly they're making those threats, and the U.S. forces are on alert because of those threats.
Mike, where are those bases in the Middle East?
Well, you have bases in Iraq in particular. You have naval assets in the region. You have U.S. forces that have been in Syria. You have somewhere around 40,000 troops that are based in the region here, Ainsley.
And then you got Qatar, too.
Yep.
Mike, just to be clear, the Supreme Leader hasn't offered any type of recommendation of peace or to get back to the negotiating table to try to convince the president that he doesn't want a nuclear weapon, right?
Well, you have heard some Iranian representatives say that they're interested in a return to the negotiating table, but the Supreme Leader, you get more of this bombastic type statements coming out of him.
Yeah. Can you imagine the first time he leaves the country, it'll be in exile? There is talk that makes a move to Russia.
He could go to Russia. Yeah. Any word on that?
No word on that.
Okay.
Go get him, Mike.
You.
Thanks.
Mike, you called him Michael earlier. What do you prefer, Mike or Michael?
Michael, do you want to weigh in?
I'm more of a Mike.
He's annoyed.
Okay. His mom is the only one allowed to call him Michael when he's in trouble.
Did not know that.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
all right,
so
now
could have handled this in the break.
It just shocked me when you said it.
It was on my brain, too.
Yeah, we share everything with you, the audience. There's nothing you don't know. We're pretty open. We're pretty open. All right.
He is not happy.
Now to another alert. The Trump administration is weighing options about how to respond to this growing conflict. And this is expected to come up at the Defense
Y'all think America's going to get involved, man?
Secretary Pete Hegseth's Senate hearing in just over an hour. Peter Doocy is live at the White House with all the details for us. Hey, Peter.
Good morning. The Ayatollah is saying that he's not going to surrender, even though President Trump has publicly stated that the Pentagon has him in its crosshairs. The president says, "We know exactly where the so-called Supreme Leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter." President Trump could order American forces to join the Israeli fight against Iran within the next 24 to 48 hours, according to a report by ABC News. President Trump had a call with Bibi Netanyahu after a classified Situation Room meeting about next steps. And the Vice President, J.D. Vance, has a message for people who can't believe President Trump would even think about joining this war. He is saying, "I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. First, POTUS has been amazingly consistent over 10 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Second, I've seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Iran could have had civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. And of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. There is a bulletin crossing the wires right now that says, this is citing Russian state news, that Vladimir Putin reiterates his readiness to mediate between Iran and Israel. We know the Iranians have been back-channeling to the U.S. that they do want to talk soon. We don't yet know if President Trump would bless Vladimir Putin as the peacemaker. Back to you.
One of the problems, Peter, is that the Israeli-Russia relationship has really soured when weapons turned up with Hamas and Hezbollah in those systems, and they were not a supporter during this conflict since October 7th.
Absolutely. And the rest of the world does not look at Vladimir Putin as somebody who can bring peace. They look at him as an aggressor who started a war in Ukraine and won't end it, even though President Trump has been trying to get him to end it for the last 150 days or so. And so it's very, very difficult. It almost seems like that's too easy. And that this is going to be something where third parties, fourth parties, Middle Eastern partners are the ones who are negotiating this to end it, no matter what happens.
My favorite part about this whole thing, Peter, is that the President Putin offered to the president to help negotiate this, to be a part of it. And the president's like, don't you have another war that you should be doing peace yourself?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is how Vladimir Putin finally gets that Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
Fox News alert moments ago, Iran's supreme leader vowing to never surrender, threatening any U.S. involvement will trigger an all-out war with irreparable consequences.
Iran, shut the hell up. Do you think anyone is scared of Iran? They're literally telling y'all you're about to die.
As Israel needs
talking about they'll never surrender. They'll be an
American bunker buster, at least one, to destroy the terror regime's last untouched or virtually untouched nuclear facility called Fordo. Our next guest knows all about the Mideast war on terror. Decorated Navy fighter pilot Matthew Wiz Buckley joins us now. Mac.
This is why they can't have. This is why they can't have nuclear weapons. People talk about America so badly sometimes, and definitely not perfect. Definitely not a perfect country. Definitely have, especially in the last 40, 50 years, have done a lot of stuff to destabilize other countries and things like that. But imagine Iran had the same power that the U.S. had. Imagine if Russia had the same power that the U.S. did. You guys think the world would be better? I don't.
Great to see you. Your thoughts?
Like I said, America ain't perfect, and a lot of it isn't because of our system being messed up. It's because of, people with agendas and people misleading, things like that. But usually there's checks and balances in the long term. America's done a good job, I think. But man, Iran with a nuclear weapon, hell nah. Blow all them shits up.
Thoughts about what our role should be to take out Fordo?
Well, good morning, Brian. Thank you for having me. This is literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I am not a big fan of forever wars. Iraq, Afghanistan, some of our other skirmishes, but this is literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In Iraq and Afghanistan, we didn't have an ally that went in and completely decimated the enemy and softened up the battlefield. Iran is blind right now. They have no integrated air defense system. All of their sites are more or less open, and Israel has absolute air dominance. So if the president chooses, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to potentially change the course of history.
You're a Navy fighter pilot, unlike the Air Force fighter pilot that would fly the B-2s or the B-52 or the C-130. Do you believe that this could be a mission that could be completed and Fordo could be destroyed from what the bunker buster and busters can do?
100%, Brian. This is exactly what this weapon was designed for, to penetrate deep into the ground. Not to get too technical, but these bombs have different types of fuses and sensors on them to literally go through different layers, whether it's ground or concrete. You just kind of program that into the weapon. And once it reaches its designed, or what you set into that bomb, it's going to explode. So fairly certain the Israelis have done a decent job of softening up that target, opening up maybe a little bit of a hole for this Moab to come in.
How many do you think we'll need?
Don't want to get too much into that. Let's just say these will get the job done. The current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Raising Kane, he's an old buddy of mine. One of the reasons President Trump really liked General Kane is because during his first term, he employed one of these massive weapons to take out a mountain of bad guys in Afghanistan. And, Trump kind of said, well, why haven't we done this up to this point? And I think Raisin kind of just shrugged his shoulders and looked at some of the higher ranking folks. So one of the reasons I think General Kane is in place today is because he has the skill set and the wherewithal to potentially employ these weapons if the president decides to do so.
And the president doesn't want a ceasefire. He wants a surrender. So let me ask you something. People watching at home go, well, you know, what is our problem with Iran? Maybe we just don't understand the culture. Do you have a different perspective?
These folks really need to study their history a little bit better. I was a teenager when they killed 241 U.S. Marines. Along the way, they attacked the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia, I believe, and 19 airmen were killed. Wow. And then as much as 608 Marines and soldiers were killed by Iranians during operations in Iraq. I don't know what further justification you would need. They have killed our Marines. They've killed our soldiers for decades, and we've never laid a glove on them.
And Iran has told the Taliban, we'll give you $1,000 for every American soldier you killed. And 17% of all Iraq deaths in Iraq of American soldiers were directly and at the hands of Iran, at minimum. So I hear you. They have been a problem. And Israel is doing the Western world a favor, and we could finish the job, and I hope we choose to do it. And thanks so much for your perspective. I appreciate it.
Yeah, interesting times. Now, let's get an update on what's going on in the markets.
The direction of the Fed next year. You already see record futures wagers in the market, with a lot of investors betting that the next Fed chair will be dovish. But given where we are right now, given the concerns about inflation, especially on the heels of all of this geopolitical tension, do you think that because the president wants lower rates, that the central bank can deliver them?
Listen, I think the big question is the president going to appoint a shadow Fed chair, right? There's a lot of talk that he's going to, already kind of semi-nominate someone, 9 months, 12 months in advance of when Powell steps down. That would be, I think, not warranted or not wise. I think it would create a really steep yield curve, right? People will like, wait a minute, if we're going to kind of give up Fed independence or going to start pressuring that. Right. And so I think Powell's done a really admirable job of just holding the line on Fed independence.
Taking a lot of heat doing it.
Say whatever he wants. It's not going to affect what Powell's doing. The moment that gets questioned for real, and there's pressure on the Trump administration to actually do this. I think that could be very, very negative for markets. The dollar would sell off pretty tremendously. Yield curve would steepen. And so we'll see. It hasn't happened yet. Trump loves a lot of bluster. We'll see if they go that next step. But I think that next step would be a really, from a macro trader, it would be easy to just sell more dollars and put on more yield curve steepeners. But I think it would be very bad for the country.
Why would, when I was a kid, Mike, we had a shadow Fed, of course, not in the White House, but Alan Melcher at Carnegie Mellon put that shadow FOMC together, and they were quite vocal in their opposition to the moves that you saw from Greenspan, from Bernanke, and others. Why would it make such a huge difference if there was a shadow Fed sort of coming from the cabinet?
Well, because, again, for academics or for pundits to comment on, is Powell making a mistake or not? That's what we all do, like macro traders do, economists do. When it's seen being directed by the president, it's one step closer to no Fed independence, right? And listen, the people you hear names kicked around, Scott Bessent moving to the Fed. There's no way Scott Bessent is going to be, a Fed chair at the behest of doing whatever the president asks. It's just not who he is. Same thing with a lot of the candidates. And so, it will be hard for them to find a credible candidate that will do what the president wants, right? Almost by definition. And so I just think the closer you get to losing Fed independence, the worse it is.
By the way, Mike, this is why I ask. Really, the question I've been kicking around in my tiny little brain since a call for a 200 basis point cut came from the president on Truth Social is, would that really reduce debt service payments? Would that really bring the 10-year yield down? If Jerome Powell came out today and said, all right, the president asked me to cut by 200 basis points, so I'm going to do it. We're going to reduce the benchmark rate by 2%. Wouldn't that have the opposite effect on the Treasury curve?
It certainly would. Like the long end, 30 years, 10 years would sell off, not rally. And I think everyone who's been in, the study of macro for a long period of time, you see other countries have tried it. I mean, Erdogan did it in Turkey and it was a disaster. And so listen, I think the kind of names getting kicked around would never do it, right? Kevin Warsh, there's no way he's going to take the Fed chair and do what the president says. They're going to define their independence. And so I have faith that we're going to continue to have independent central bank, and part of this is politics, right? President Trump is a master at politics, right? And so him having someone to blame is a good thing from him from a political perspective.
Mike, what is the trade? You had mentioned a little earlier that, this doesn't bode well for the dollar, and the long bond could be under pressure as well. The 10-year, we're looking at it around 435 today. Realistically, where do you think it goes? And as a macro trader, would you go really short? Would you take that pain?
Listen, if I thought we were going to lose Fed independence yet, I would be limit short the dollar and limit short long bonds. I don't think we're going to lose Fed independence. I really don't. I think, like I said, I think Trump likes to bluster about this stuff, but I don't think he's going to cross that red line.
What do you think will happen to risk assets if President Trump joins Israel in support of an attack in Iran? If we contribute bunker busters, if we contribute actual troops to a full-blown war, how does this market, which has been pretty good at ignoring geopolitical issues over the last few years, how does this market then react?
Yeah, it's a great...
While we're throwing up hypotheticals, Mike.
It's a very difficult question. I think, listen, if we went with bunker busters and took out the one big facility that everyone's talking about, the immediate reaction would be oil up, stocks down, probably even dollar stronger, just because people are short the dollar and people want to get out of risk. I think Trump would only do that, like when I'm thinking through the logic, if he would then say the war is over, Israel stand down and have a prearranged agreement with Israel that, we'll take out that one facility and then that's the end of the war, and say the same thing to Iran and try to declare peace at that point. That could be wildly bullish. It's an unbelievably tricky situation. If we just enter the war and it's protracted, categorically bearish. But if it's a one strike declare victory, it could, actually be the exact opposite.
I want to look at risk assets for now. You're looking at Brent crude trading around 75. This fear about oil prices rising higher, causing a dent in the trade in the last couple of days. The S&P 500, there's a sense by a lot of the market that it's not even just this kind of underlying inflation or geopolitical risk environment or even these big picture what ifs that you and Matt have just been talking about. It's this idea that even if the Fed is just a little hawkish today, then it could send a lot of this recently found risk appetite off the train. What do you think happens here? I mean, what are the trades that set people up for the rest of the year given all of these uncertainties?
Yeah, it's, the stock market has been a conundrum to people because it trades spectacularly well, despite what seems to be all kinds of geopolitical issues and internal issues, right, between tariffs and wars and this, the fights between, Trump's parade on one side and the No Kings parade on the other, right? All this discord, the stock market keeps chugging along.
I missed that too. I forgot he had a parade.
Because unemployment stays low and retail continues to be a participant. I think partly because of this giant data center build, right? This huge infrastructure AI build that's happening, which is adding incredible amounts to GDP. I've come to realize that.
I listened to somebody, it's a guy I really like, Clearview Tax, and he was saying the only reason why the stock market is going crazy is because they're printing money. The M2 supplies is crazy right now. I get that, and he's right. Like he's not wrong here. If you look at this screen, you can see the chart is going up, but they also took money out of the market, right? Over the past couple of years, they took money out. Now they're printing again. So, and it's almost, is it at an all-time high? It just cracked the all-time high. I wouldn't say though that that's why the stock market's booming. It's booming because of this new golden era, the whole AI hype, right? And I don't think it's hype. I think it's the real deal. So I'm all in. And I think that they can continue to print money because the economy is just going to continue to grow. And so I think it's a combination of both. Where Clearview Tax, he was just saying they're printing money. They're just printing money. No, they're printing money because they're excited about the future in this country. And they want to make sure that, we continue to lead when it comes to, new, you had the agriculture age and industrialization age, the innovation and services, and now we're going to robotics, automation, and AI. And America's going to continue to print money because they're investing in the future. They believe in insane growth, and so I just think we have a new reality. It's so hard to make that adjustment because for decades we've kind of had the same, we've just been enjoying innovation and services, right? But it's a new era, and every global superpower is trying to get their piece of the pie, including America.
Despite bad government, we have such amazing capital markets and such an amazing entrepreneurial class that it's kind of holding off what feels to be all this, uncertainty.
Yep.
And so
that's
stocks
exactly
don't
right.
feel like they want to go lower. Everyone I know has been underweight them, think they're overvalued.
Yep.
They trade like they want to go higher.
Mike, we only have about a minute or so left here, but we still want to ask you about crypto. We want to make sure we're getting your thoughts there, because if you joined us just a couple of hours ago, we would have asked you about the stablecoin bill and what that actually means for the future of finance.
Yeah, what is that?
You have, of course, companies tied to it, particularly Circle, just flying since its IPO. You run an investment bank. I'm sure you have thoughts about how that should have been priced ultimately. And you have companies like JP Morgan saying that they're going to get in a bigger way. Amazon, Walmart. Do you think something fundamental is going to change about the financial system now that that bill has crossed the Senate?
Listen, we set up Galaxy 2017 with the idea that institutions would finally come to the market, and they're here. And it's a really exciting time. We're going to get the stablecoin bill and then hopefully a market structure bill. And it's going to bring in TradeFi into this technology. We're going to see tokenized equities. We're going to see perpetual futures, which is a crypto idea, be brought into the U.S., both for crypto and for non-crypto. It's a different way of looking at derivatives. And so I think, like what I'm thinking from our firm's perspective is we're going to partner with people, we're going to have white label solutions for people, and we're going to have our own solutions for our customers. That every crypto company is now thinking, how do we go to this next chapter?
Facts. Actual factuals. Actual factuals. All right, that was good. Kind of, these are guys who are doing big things in the markets, man, and making a lot of sense, I think. All right, let's watch this because this is still on the topic of Iran.
Direct strikes against nuclear facilities in Iran. Eamon Javers joins us right here on set to talk about what is happening in Washington and what he's hearing. Eamon, good morning. Good to see you.
Yeah, good morning. Good to see you, Becky. I mean, we don't know. We're kind of in waiting and holding mode right now as we wait for President Trump to make his decision. We do know that there was this meeting in the Situation Room yesterday. We don't know what options were presented to the president yesterday in the Situation Room. And we also know that the president has been posting on social media, amping up that rhetoric against the Iranians. seeming to set the stage for U.S. involvement by using the word "we" in those social media posts about we control the airspace over Iran, linking himself to the Israeli military effort. But ultimately, we don't know what the president's going to decide. Just this morning, we're seeing we don't know. Just this morning, we've got a new statement here from the Iranian Supreme Leader, which I think is relevant. The Supreme Leader is saying any American military entry will undoubtedly be met with irreparable damage. The Iranian people will firmly stand against an imposed war, just as they will stand firm against any imposed peace.
You can read that either way.
Right.
So some bluster there.
Yeah, you will be irreparably damaged. I don't know about us. I don't know about the great Satan.
And the U.S. military seems to suggest that they see Iranian movement to preset strikes against U.S. assets in the region.
They've never done it, though. They've never pushed that. They've never crossed that Rubicon, that red line. They might.
So that's the setup, right? If the United States goes in with those big bunker buster bombs, hits the nuclear facilities with B-2 bombers, does that trigger retaliation against U.S. bases throughout the region? Does that trigger a wider war? What's the U.S. plan if that happens? Is this just striking the nuclear
What do they got
facilities?
left?
Is this regime change? What is the end goal here?
What do they have left to strike back? They have a pretty, a lot of it has been obviously destroyed.
A lot of it's been destroyed. And what we don't know really is the command and control, right? Because the Israeli decapitation attack early on in this took out a lot of the key leaders.
This is CNBC talking. But they're right. What the hell y'all going to do?
Decision makers up and down the chain of command. So how quickly can the Iranians respond? How quickly can they constitute a response of their own is sort of unknown at this point. And then the other unknown is, will the United States move against the Supreme Leader himself? The president threatening to kill him on social media yesterday, saying we know where he is,
but we haven't
get him.
He's
safe for now.
Yeah.
Right.
Where are the B-2s right now? I've heard they're in Diego Garcia. That's 3,500 miles. I've also heard that you could fly them from here. It's a 30-hour flight, and you refuel. We've got the refueling apparatus ready to go.
It's around the world. So the question is, when does the president make the decision? How much lead time does he make? I don't think we fully know, right? And part of strategic deception is you don't let the other side know where your assets are.
But part of what I've been trying to figure out is why is he taking to social media to say some of these things? On the one hand, it looks like it's some form of attempted.
It's Donald Trump.
Diplomacy. To try and put some pressure on things, because otherwise, why in the world would you say anything? Because all you're doing is giving away the...
Why even advertise the fact that you're having a Situation Room meeting about it, right? Unless the whole point of the Situation Room meeting is to be very publicly considering this option. It is itself the saber rattling, right? The social media is itself the saber rattling.
You look at it the same way you do the negotiations with tariffs, right? And from that perspective.
Exactly. And if you're Tehran and you look at that and you say, well, what did he do on tariffs? He went maximalist and then backed way off to something just north of minimalist, right? And so if you look at this and you say, well, he's threatening to kill the Supreme Leader, but maybe he'll back off to, we'll
But he said, I'll give you 60 days, and it was on the 61st day. I mean, it seems like you can glean. Sometimes it's not just BSing. Sometimes I think it's, and if you tell people to leave Tehran, I mean, they are leaving Tehran right now. There's traffic jams to get out.
But what does that mean, too? Because
means get out of Iran. Get out of Tehran.
No,
I know. But this means...
I mean, is the United States contemplating bombing, a big civilian area in the center of the capital city? I mean, you look at the human cost of that, the political cost of that, economic,
And what that does to the Iranian people, who we think a lot of them support us and not that
or at least
regime.
don't support the regime.
Don't support the regime, but to continue to have that goodwill.
Right.
And that's been the difference between what the Israelis have done and what the Iranians have done to this point. The Israelis have bombed military sites. The Iranians are bombing cities, civilian cities.
The lesson of the past 25 years with the Iraq War in particular is that you can't look at military action in isolation, right? You have to look at military action in the context of what are your political goals, what are your economic goals, do you have a plan for what happens after the strike, right? And the United States is really good at breaking stuff and having strikes.
There were no flowers being thrown toward troops in Iraq, like Rumsfeld said that they're going to.
Right. And we totally misjudged the political situation in Iraq. And I think anybody who says they know what the political situation is.
And that's when it got bad with the dead enders and the IED, all the horrible stuff that we
Yeah, so you remove Saddam and you get ISIS, right? And so what is the outcome likely to be in Tehran? I don't think we really have any idea. And I don't think you can necessarily trust Iranian expats who haven't lived there in 30 years or 40 years to tell you, we have a really good fix on where things are in Tehran right now and who's going to support us and who's not. These things, I think, you have to have some humility with and realize that you can have these military strikes. The United States has enormous military power, but unless you have a very clear sense of where you're going after that,
unless it's really targeted one time Fordo, and you just, or targeted at the nuclear program, and you just once and for all take it off the table forever.
And so that's the non-regime change option. Right? You go in, just do the nuclear facilities, and tell the Iranian regime, you can stay in power, and we're going to help you rebuild your economy if you back off this nuclear program, which we've just destroyed. So you have to be super confident that you can destroy the nuclear program, that the military option is going to work, and then confident that you can work with the regime after that, that they're not so humiliated and incensed and outraged that you can have some kind of deal. I think one indicator to watch is how the new government of Syria has been responding to this. They have stayed very, very quiet here. They don't like the Iranians because the Iranians were working with the Assad regime. This is the Syrian rebels who just overthrew the Assad regime. They're now very quiet about all this. They're not denouncing Israel, not denouncing the United States. They want to be integrated into the Western economy. And their goal is to facilitate that. So you see a situation in Syria where that is a country that is pivoting toward the West. Could you get to some outcome like that in Iran? Maybe, but there's so many ifs along the way between here and there.
Amen. Thank you.
You bet.
We don't know about that guy either. What was he? ISIS or Al Qaeda?
He was Al Qaeda. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did see that.
MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy.
All right. What do you guys think? I'm thinking with this whole Iran and America thing. I don't think Iran's a threat, bro. I think they're a cone, But it is sad, 300-some thousand people displaced now. You got to be careful about your government, man. This is why, the checks and balances happen. This is why, say what you want. Like I talk shit all the time about the rioting and all that, because I don't think rioting is okay, but protesting is absolutely necessary. And that's one of the beautiful things in this country is that we have freedom of speech. We can criticize our leaders without having to worry about getting killed. Well, kind of. Depends who you are, right? CIA might come after you. FBI might come after you. You'll never know. Nonetheless, we have a very high standard here in America compared to other countries. And what you see in other countries is, if you put the wrong people to represent your country and if those people were in place, they could be the reason for you and your entire family's displacement, or even death, right? So it's crazy. I kind of want to learn about, the leadership in Iran and, their beliefs and let's see. Man, we about to go through a whole rabbit hole in this thing. This is crazy. All right, let's check this out.
Escalating situation in the Middle East. Mr. Trump left the G7 summit in Canada early as a result of the rising tensions. Mr. Trump posted on his Truth Social platform before heading into the Situation Room, saying that the U.S. has, quote, complete and total control of the skies over Iran. He followed up with an additional post saying, quote, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, at least not for now. The post follows sources previously telling CBS News that President Trump had opposed an Israeli plan to take out Iran's supreme leader. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the move would ultimately end the conflict. The message coincides with a fifth day of exchanges between Israel and Iran. Israel says it has thwarted multiple attempted missile strikes on the country, although some have successfully made it through the country's Iron Dome. This as Israel is pressing forward with its own strikes aimed at taking out Iran's top military brass and its nuclear sites across the country. President Trump discussed the U.S. potentially providing Israel additional air while returning to the U.S. from the G7 summit.
You know pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Let's bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe for more on all of this. Ed, great to see you. As best you can tell, where do things stand in the Middle East for the White House?
Well, let's begin here at the White House, Meg, where the president is set to spend the afternoon meeting with national security officials about the situation in the Middle East. He has spent much of the morning since he returned from Canada early this morning on Truth Social, signaling that the United States, or at least he, is far more actively engaged now in what is going on over there, earlier suggesting that we now control the skies over Iran. That brought a lot of pause and questions about whether the United States was now directly involved and in control of Iranian skies. The White House has since clarified that when he said that, he did not mean the United States of America is in control of the skies over Iran, but it signaled that he was clearly getting some updates and engaging. Right after that, he then posted something on Truth Social suggesting that he knows, or the United States is aware of, where Iran's supreme leader is, but for now they're not going to kill him. And he reiterated a threat that he's been making since last week, that should Iran touch or attack American civilians or soldiers, service members in the Middle East, the United States would respond forcefully with military might. But this statement especially, we know exactly where the supreme leader is, he's an easy target, was one that drew some interesting reaction and a sign again that he is actively engaging in this during the day today. Finally, he tweeted a little while ago, or Truth Social, unconditional surrender. And that was all that the message said, which again shows that he's trying to get Iran to back down and to engage in some kind of talk. He made clear in his flight back from Canada overnight, he's not seeking a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. He wants Iran to end its nuclear program. And he said he wants a real end to their nuclear problem and would be working on that during the day today. So we will see what more we learn about who he's meeting with, what they're discussing, what the potential diplomatic solutions or military options would be. But it is clear that as we overheard this morning, as a
all right, so we get it, we get what's going on there. But look, this is, I guess, what they're trying to say. The Iranian people, and obviously, you know, this group that they're covering isn't going to speak for everybody, but it might be an interesting perspective.
Lana Silk is Chief Executive Officer of the ministry Transform Iran. She joins us now by phone. Lana, what's the reaction of the people in Iran to these strikes? What are you hearing?
Laurie, it's really interesting hearing Hamidi in your clip talking about quiet relief amongst the people of Iran. I've spoken to many colleagues and friends in the country this morning who are saying the same thing. In fact, one of them specifically said, we are waking up to what is unfortunately good news this morning. We've seen clips on social media, people literally standing on their balconies in their apartments, holding up glasses as if to celebrate the act of Israel against their country this morning, with buildings burning in the background. It's quite sobering.
Celebrate.
Indeed. Well, some Iranians have actually been calling for Israel to strike Iran in hopes of sparking a revolution. Is that becoming more of a possibility, Lana?
Y'all believe that?
It seems that way, Laurie. You know, the Iranian people have made it no secret that they want freedom from their regime. And I think the general feeling is that they felt that they were stuck in that system. They tried and failed to make a change in and of themselves. And this is really their only hope of true freedom from the bonds of their government. And that's what they're all saying to me, that finally something is happening. In fact, one of them sent a message in prayer to Israel saying, "You've started, now let's keep it up and finish the job."
So how is the regime responding? Do you sense fear?
I will say this. I was on Instagram the other day, and I saw a reel that was talking about this. And in the comments, there was a Iranian guy that said he's happy about it. But at the same time, he had a lot of responses, a lot of replies where people were pissed about him being happy about this.
No, the regime is really very careful to bring a very strong show of strength. They are speaking in defiance. Of course, the immediate act of sending drones to Israel was really token gesture. They knew full well that wasn't going to make any real difference. They're telling the people to prepare for war. Announcements are being made to stock up on supplies. Everyone is filling their car with gas. There's chaos at the gas stations. There is a sense of we are going to deal with this and we will do it strong.
So give us an update, Lana, on the church in Iran, our brothers and sisters, and how we can pray for them.
The church has been praying for a change for some time, Laurie. So it's very difficult to really put a finger on the emotions. In 1 minute, you are worried about real implications of what war might bring. At the other moment, you're thinking, oh my goodness, maybe change really is coming. The call for the church, as always, is to be a light in the darkness. And the Christians now are preparing to be the hope for their neighbors and their communities in a time that will for sure bring a lot of restlessness. Let's pray that they will have the resilience, the strength to be what they need to be at this time.
How has the church grown so strong in this nation where they're persecuted?
Are they?
I think persecution does breed growth in a time when you are being told you cannot have Jesus, you cannot read your Bible, you must be quiet. That's the time when...
Is this real? I got to look this up. You know, I have heard things, you know, like because Christians will not match your, at least true Christians, I don't even want to say true Christians. I don't want to piss anybody off, but you know, we forgive everybody, and you're not supposed to, you're supposed to let God handle it, right? And it's easy to target Christians, and nobody really sticks up for Christians. You saw 100 people beheaded in I think it was Cameroon or Congo at the church from some extremist terrorist group. Beheaded. Didn't make the news. Didn't make the news. They got the videos of the bodies all over the fields in front of the church. Didn't make the news. Had to see it on X or Twitter. Now I'm about to go through this rabbit hole, man.
Faith really springs up strong because you have to fight for it and you have to really understand what is important, get rid of the extra and focus on the priorities. And it's in that context that the church has grown, because the church has had to be strong. It had to be on fire. It had to be resilient. And that's how churches do grow. So praise God for his mercy and his kindness that in this really difficult environment, Christians are standing up for what is right and sharing their faith, and people are turning to Jesus.
Yeah.
Indeed. Praise God. Lana.
So obviously, you know, these people are coming, oh, this is Christian. This is a Christian network. Obviously, you know, these people, they want a new regime. They want to this regime overthrown. But there's a lot of Iranians, I think, that are in support of this group. And the reason why I know that is because, let's check this out.
Israel's air campaign across Iran is targeting nuclear and missile sites. This is not over. It comes after the United Nations nuclear watchdog just yesterday declared Iran in breach of its non-proliferation obligations. The UN had not made such a declaration in 20 years. It follows months of warnings from that watchdog that Iran was actively accelerating its nukes program. Iran has drastically reduced its timeline to make the fuel needed to produce nuclear weapons.
Wow.
Even after those Israeli strikes, President Trump is still pushing for a deal with Iran. So you heard Secretary of State Pompeo tell me a few minutes ago here on The Focus that it's worth continuing to talk with them, along with the fact that action has been taken, that if you get close to those nukes, or the possibility you could be taken out immediately. This morning, here's what was posted. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left. It's a reminder of what the president said 1 month ago today.
Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. But with that said, Iran can have a much brighter future, but will never allow America and its allies to be threatened with terrorism or nuclear attack. The choice is theirs to make. We really want them to be a successful country. We want them to be a wonderful, safe, great country, but they cannot have a nuclear weapon. This is an offer that will not last forever.
The Wall Street Journal editorial board with this on Iran, quote, "These aren't the actions of a state ready to pursue civil energy and give up on domestic enrichment, the Trump administration's red line. They are the actions of a death to America regime," end of quote. Joni Ernst, member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, great to see you this morning with your expertise in tow. Where are we really facing Iran with a nuclear program? How close are they? What do we know?
They're very close to a completion of their nuclear program, and this is why Israel felt the need to act. And we stand shoulder to shoulder with Israel. And believe me, President Trump wants peace in the Middle East. He has declared that over and over again. He gave Iran every opportunity to come to the table and negotiate for peaceful settlement. This did not happen. And where are they now? They are still not coming to the table.
A lot of them are dead.
So Israel will continue with this airstrike. They will continue dismantling Iran's nuclear program. But we also know that they have worked on developing ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles, not just to reach Israel and the surrounding Arab partners, but also ballistic missiles to reach the United States of America. So we need to make sure that the program comes to an end. It can't end peacefully if Iran comes forward and negotiates. But there should be absolutely no enrichment of uranium, period. That is very clear. This administration has said that over and over again.
Please take a look at your screen if you can, and I say this to viewers too. This is the scene in Tehran today. Hundreds of people in the streets protesting Israeli strikes and chanting death to Israel. But we should keep in mind that while many Iranians may hate Israel, they also hate their brutally oppressive regime. The mullahs who ban any freedom of oppression, hang gay people from cranes, torture and kill political opponents, execute people for vague reasons with no trials. I mean, people vanish in that country all the time. Many people in that country have been longing for a secular, more Western style of government for decades. And Senator, you and I have talked about this in the past. You know, you had what we thought was going to be a green revolution, and the Clintons didn't make their way to make that happen. Like, what happens today? Can there be something to get these people to advocate for themselves? And maybe they won't love Israel, but they've got to see that their oppressors are not going away without a fight.
Absolutely, Harris, and we have discussed this in the past. The people of Iran have been oppressed for so long. Think many decades ago when this was a thriving nation with more westernized ideas and values, where women could work and appear in the streets. They had great science programs, you name it. But it is not like that any longer. So many people are oppressed. There's a very definitive class system there. And I think this is an incredible opportunity for the people of Iran to rise up against their oppressors. There are many people that have been thrown out of the country. Those that don't escape, as you mentioned, they end up in a missing status. The civil rights abuses are atrocious. Now is a time, this is a moment in history to right this nation.
Thank you for saying that, this moment in history. It is a key one. Real quickly, what would the United States do? What would we say to those people if they were to rise up? What does that look like?
Well, I would say that they would have a partner in freedom with the United States of America. We seek peace, and we know that if Iran is a stable and thriving nation, there will be peace, not just with the United States, but with Israel and the Gulf Arab nations. We need this to happen. We're depending on the people in Iran to make a difference.
You know, I'm not somebody that thinks we need to force every country to have Western ideologies. And I also don't think we should be forcing countries to run a specific way. I think the problem is crimes against humanity, and there's United Nations for that, right? And it just so happens that America, they lead the globe, so they're going to be the one, especially United Nations, that moves the most weight and does the most action, right? Yeah, so Israel are the bad guys. Bro, they're both bad. I hate this argument. Like, how do you actually pick a side here? Credit to Bans. Like, how do you pick a side of a government that killed 2,000 innocent people who were at a concert or whatever it was, 1,200, whatever it was. Let's say it was 1,000. Innocent people who brought on all this destruction to the citizens of their people. The same thing with Iran. Israel's chilling. Their people are dying, don't get me wrong, but they're not dying like these people are. And the Israeli people, the Palestinian people, the Iranian people are not the same as their governments. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. And all of these groups are all of them have allegations of committing genocide. All of them. So you're telling me Hamas and in Palestine there wasn't genocide against the LGBTQ community? Credit to Bans. You don't like, bro, I went through this rabbit hole. We sat here for a week and did our research. We went all the way down to 2,000 years ago. I know all this stuff. What the hell? How does that make it okay? This is the reality of where we are today. The existence of every single country here has something to do with conquering, has something to do with wars and fighting and all these things. Had religious, had genocide, had slavery. All of these countries, all of these nations. We're talking about right now, and the decisions that are being made right now. It is an ongoing cycle. What Israel's government is doing to Gaza is wrong as hell, especially keeping food and basic needs from entering the country. Horrible. Bombing places where you know there are children. I don't care if Hamas is hiding under them. You don't kill 200 innocent children and women to get a Hamas leader. You don't kill 15,000 innocent women and children and leave 20,000 children fatherless, motherless, orphans. You're creating the next Hamas. You're creating the next Hamas. Absolutely, they're wrong. But Hamas is fucked up too. What they've done? Are we kidding? Houthis? What they've done? Are we kidding? How is anybody sticking up for anyone besides innocent people? I don't give a damn about these nations. That's one. But the other thing is, like I said earlier, Who do you think would be better? How do you think the world would be if Iran had all the power America had? You think the world would be a better place when you see all these Christians being persecuted? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. Christian persecution in Iran is a serious and ongoing issue rooted in the country's Islamic theocracy and legal structure. Here's an overview of the situation. And look, genocide only matters when it's Jews and Palestinians. What about the LGBTQ community? What about religious groups? Why can't I be a Christian and live? I think if you're Muslim, you should be able to live and have that right too. Or if you don't like me, just let me know. I'll leave. And we should be definitely giving access to them as refugees. Absolutely. But think about it. Religious landscape in Iran. So the official religion is Twelver Javari Shia Islam. Okay. It's a state religion. Constitutional rights recognizes certain religious minorities, Armenian and Assyrian Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians with limited freedoms. Unrecognized Christians, converts from Islam, often evangelicals or house church members, are not protected and face the harshest persecution. If you convert from Islam to another religion, you will be killed, pretty much. Because of Islamic law, apostasy laws. It considers it a crime, sometimes punishable by death, though not always enforced legally. These are reasons why Christians are persecuted in Iran, because of the laws. Evangelism is another reason why. Sharing the gospel or proselytizing Muslims is illegal and considered a threat to national security. So you can't share Bibles and stuff. They started smuggling. You know how people smuggle fentanyl through the border? And we just let them do it? And they're killing hundreds of thousands of Americans every year? We just let them do it? Just open the border, right? Well, you can't even smuggle a Bible into Iran. Your ass will get killed. House churches are viewed as underground movements and foreign ties, and often accused of acting against the state. Well, got to do it in my house, in the privacy of my own home, because I'll be persecuted. But you can't. You don't even have the right to privacy in your own home. Intelligence agencies routinely monitor, raid, and arrest Christians in private worship settings. They're raiding homes because of worshiping their God. Imagine that. And I'm not saying that's any reason to go to war with them, with Iran, but these aren't good people that have our values. And so, yeah, it is kind of scary if you give these people nuclear weapons. Because we're not bombing places just because you're Islamic. I know some people will argue that point, but I don't think so. There's been reports of imprisonment and arrest for propaganda against the regime, torture and solitary confinement, social regression, job loss, confiscation of property, especially churches or Christian-owned buildings. Open Doors ranks Iran among the top 10 most dangerous countries for Christians. The UN and the human rights organizations have condemned Iran for religious persecution, but international pressure has had limited effect. Here's some stories to know. Yusuf Narakani, A pastor arrested multiple times. He was sentenced to death in 2010 for apostasy. Later, that was overturned, and he was rearrested in 2018 and imprisoned. Then you have Mariam Rostampol and Marizia Amerizadeh, 2 Christian converts imprisoned in 2009 for evangelism. They later published a book called Captive in Iran. It would be a better place if there weren't any Zionist Jews. That's all I know. Okay? Do you say the same thing about Hamas? Do you run around saying the same thing about Hamas? Would the world be a better place? With or without them? Would the world be a better place with or without ISIS? Would the world be a better place with or without Nazis? Would the world be, they're all fucked up. They're all terrible. You know, and at some point, Italians supported Nazis. Remember that? Guys, I get it all, but like choosing a side doesn't help. Because to somebody in the world, you're a Nazi for being anti-Zionist, right? Like they see Zionist as trying to save them type of thing, right? And you are just as bad as Nazis to them. It's you know, and everybody's perspective is going to be different. It just depends on how you're affected by it the most, but it's all fucked up, man. Anyways, I wasn't trying to get into this to be all political and give my opinion. I'm just trying to keep up with what's going on in the world. Because at the end of the day, man, the power we have is being informed and what we support. And using our voices to speak on it, right? But using your voice to just attack Zionism, that's what you're gonna put all your energy in. Like let's attack all this bad shit. This is all terrible. If you go to war, if you put us in a predicament of war, if you're violent, that's not the way to do things. And yeah, there's gonna be governments that will do their part to destabilize or to overthrow a certain regime. That's what's happening to Iran. That's what happened to Hamas. It's going to continue to happen forever. And it happens from both sides.
Israel and Iran have...
China slams.
A spiraling conflict between Iran and Israel has drawn China into the global spotlight. And this time, Beijing isn't staying neutral. It's openly condemning Israel for its recent strike on Iranian soil. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi held separate phone calls over the weekend. One with Iran's Foreign Minister Syed Abbas Araghchi, the other with Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar. In both calls, Wang offered to play a constructive role in resolving the escalating crisis. Beijing's official statement was blunt. China explicitly condemns Israel's violation of Iran's sovereignty, security and territorial integrity, Wang said. He added that China supports Iran's right to defend its national sovereignty. Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiaquan said on Monday that China has urged Iran and Israel to take immediate actions to de-escalate the tension.
We have a history with Iran. Is Iran protecting their sovereignty, or are they Are they breaking agreements that guaranteed their sovereignty?
Tensions between them.
我们呼吁各方立即采取措施，推动紧张局势尽快降温，防止地区陷入更大的动荡，为重回对话谈判解决问题的正轨创造条件。如果以色列同伊朗的冲突持续升级甚至扩大，中东地区国家将首先深受其害。王毅外长已分别同伊朗外长阿拉格齐、以色列外长萨尔通电话，呼吁伊以双方通过对话解决分歧。有关各方应该立即采取措施，为冲突升级 踩刹车，为紧张局势降温。
This sharp rebuke of Israel stands in contrast to China's stance on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. There, Beijing refused to condemn Moscow, instead deepening ties. But in the Middle East, China sees a chance to boost its diplomatic image. Experts say China wants to show itself as an alternative voice to the US, especially in the global south, where Israel's Gaza operations have drawn widespread criticism. This is China trying to project power, influence, and credibility in a region long dominated by the US. Beijing is no stranger to Tehran. The two nations have deepened ties, holding joint military drills, pushing back on US sanctions, and trading oil despite restrictions. In fact, China remains Iran's largest energy buyer. Recent reports also suggest Chinese-made chemicals, used in missile fuel, have been delivered to Iran. Although China has not officially reported oil imports from Iran since 2022, analysts believe the trade continues unofficially. So far, the US has only assisted Israel's missile defense against Iran's drone and missile barrage. But President Donald Trump hinted that negotiations are already underway. He posted that many calls and meetings are happening, and even floated Vladimir Putin as a possible peace broker. Beijing's growing influence in the Middle East is real, but its ability to end this conflict is uncertain. Even as it calls for de-escalation, regional powers and the US remain key players. Will China truly emerge as a peace broker? Or is this just another chapter in a deeper geopolitical tug of war? One thing is clear: global alliances are shifting rapidly. For more sharp insights and breaking news from across the globe.
Yeah, so it's funny how China's kind of playing the role of that America's playing with Russia and Ukraine, right? Guys, I want you guys to watch this. Speaking of, since we're talking politics, World War III ain't coming, bro. It is not coming. No, not at all. Not at all. But I do like what Arnold Schwarzenegger said in this interview. I thought it was very, very intelligent. And Americans should pay attention. Let me see if I can find the part, though. All right, here we go. This was really good, I thought. Shout out to Arnold, man. Legend. This guy was probably the most legendary bodybuilder of all time. Did amazing things in the bodybuilding industry. Then became an actor. Because it's, A-list celebrity. Then became the governor. Of California. Credit to bands because, dude, have you been following the world? There's just too much money, too much progress in the world. China's not going to risk all the progress that they've made in the last 40, 50 years. Russia's not either. And that's all that really matters. Everyone else that wants to go to war, they're cooked. The moment any of those three get involved, they're cooked. And it's not going to happen. It's we are in a golden era. And you are blinded by all of this bad press, all of this bad news, all of this fear mongering that you're seeing on social media, on the news. You're blinded by, meanwhile, the rich getting richer. But hey, don't listen to me. How would I know? I only do this every day. Watch this shit every single day for hours a day. If you've been following me, then you know.
I'm a positive person, and I always try to kind of fix things. But I think that what you're referring to is, of course, the protests that are going on
everything
in LA.
that's going on.
I totally agree with you, by the way, Jimmy, because they make it out to
just listen to this.
It's a war zone, the whole Los Angeles, the whole city or the county. And the fact of the matter is, it's maybe like 0.001%.
And it doesn't matter. That I disagree with. Who cares if it's 0. The whole point is trying to avoid what happened during the pandemic, during the BLM riots. That's the whole point. It starts out at 0.9, but they're already doing millions of dollars in damage, and that can escalate into billions. That can escalate into way more than 0.9% of LA. Look at what happened the last time nobody was proactive. Every government wanted to be reactive during these riots. And what ended up happening? Literal cities were taken over. Literal cities taken over. They had to literally give them a chunk of anarchy zones. Like, it was crazy. I am happy that they shut that shit down ASAP. It's wrong. Wrong is wrong. I don't care if it's 0.9% of the damn population of the city. They're doing millions, thousands of people are doing millions of dollars in damages. So somebody needs to fucking stop it. Y'all not sick and tired of the people that we pay tax dollars to? They're supposed to serve and keep peace and keep safety. Y'all not tired of that, of them not doing nothing? Oh, you're not tired of it right now because it's not your business. It's not your home. It's not your city.
Of the area of Los Angeles has problems and there's a protest.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is important.
And you, have you been to LA? Have y'all been to LA? Should be doing that shit every single day then. With the homelessness, the violence, the people dying there, how dirty the city is, the amount of fraud that's happening in that state. Meanwhile, y'all getting taxed out of this world. And it's probably the best. LA, I think, alone is probably the strongest economy in the world for a city. And it looks like that. No offense. I love my people in LA, but y'all get what I'm saying. Why the hell we not speaking up every single day on that? Fix the fucking city.
Important for people to know, because I don't want all of a sudden tourism to suffer in Los Angeles because what they see on television, because the media sometimes shows it as if the whole Los Angeles is a big war zone, which is not really the case.
No, none of Los Angeles is a war zone.
But this wouldn't happen if the politicians would do their work. Think about it.
Boom. Boom. Bomb drop. Jimmy Kimmel, none of it's a war. You wasn't watching the videos. We was watching the live streams. We was watching. That shit was crazy. But, Arnold, one more time for the people in the back.
Now, what do you mean by that exactly? What do you mean?
Would do their work. If the politicians would do their work.
Politicians.
Think about it.
Now, what do you mean by that exactly? What do you mean by
that? For decades, almost 4 decades, we have had a problem where they talked about immigration reform, comprehensive immigration reform. But the Democrats and the Republicans, both of the parties, have no interest in solving this problem because they use that to raise money. And so what they do is they just keep pointing the finger at each other, and then they're surprised if all of a sudden we are using our middle finger on them, right? But I mean, it's all bogus, because I think that we can do better than that. Democrats and Republicans, and you know, when I talk about Democrats and Republicans, even though I'm a Republican, I tell you, it is sometimes disappointing. And then I think even just when you look at the symbols of the party, think about that. I mean, the Democrats, donkey, Republicans, elephant. And the donkey is a jackass. And of course, wherever the big animal goes, leaves a pile of dump, right? I mean, so the symbols say it all.
Yeah.
And I just get very frustrated because we send those politicians to Washington to solve the problems, and all they are is instead of public servants, they're party servants. And I think this is really the bad thing about it. So just
they're not public servants. They're
sure
party
there's
servants.
A huge amount
That's
of
a
truth
bar.
to that. First of all, I love having you here tonight because I think that you're a person who is trusted on both sides, and that's very rare nowadays. And I think probably Donald Trump doesn't want you to be trusted because I don't think Donald Trump likes you very much, to be honest.
Really?
True? Yeah. So I think the nature of the media is to show where, there's some guys robbing or looting a medical marijuana store, and then there's, a few Waymos on fire, and to put that together in a montage and make it seem like all hell is breaking loose here. What is your opinion? Is that the case here in Los Angeles right now?
No, well, first of all, let's just be honest. The whole thing has to do with the deportation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
Of course, this is a very sensitive subject to me because when I came over to this country, I was living in fear of being deported.
Were you?
Yeah, because at one point I did a movie that was so bad that I thought that the critics would deport me. Would deport me and send me back to Austria. Hasta la vista, baby.
You were worried that you were going to be deported for creative reasons. Yes. So, but seriously, of course, there truly are families that are worried they're going to be deported. Do you think that people who've been in this country for 25 years and who have had no criminal activity whatsoever should be granted the right?
Yeah, we need them. Like, we're here. They're good. Our economy's good. We need them paying taxes. We need them to continue to do what they're doing, man. Like, seeing a woman that's been here since she was 5 years old, barely knows Spanish, get deported at 35 while she has 4 kids, and she's married to an American citizen. She just didn't rush getting her green card into into citizenship, and then she didn't pay it. She's married. She's been here 30 years. She's 35, and she didn't renew her green card, and it had been months since she had renewed it because she was just gonna go, do the citizenship thing anyways, and she was just procrastinating like people do. Got her deported, bro. And there's a lot of examples like that, and it's just, why are we wasting time and resources on people like that, man?
Rights of U.S. citizenship.
What this is, what I'm talking about, is immigration reform. A comprehensive immigration reform will address all of those issues. Yeah.
We need reform. We don't need to deport every single 3 million people, of which a bunch of them are important.
Yes, and also we would then be able to hand out more visas, temporary working permits, permanent working permits, the green card, and citizenship, and all of those things. And we would know who comes into the United States rather than not knowing and having so.
There you go. If you're a taxpayer, if you have no crimes while being here in America, if you have children here, if you have jobs in certain industries, if you've created a business, if you employ people, if you've bought a house, if any of these things, right? As long as you check all those boxes, you should be able to just online, boom, get temporary citizenship until we figure out this whole, because it was bad. They let millions of people in here, the Biden administration. They were awful. What they did to this country, man, in that aspect, I'm not saying everything that the Biden administration did was bad. We've seen some good things they've done, but a lot of it, especially their policy on illegal immigration, not immigration, illegal immigration, was awful. Thousands of illegal immigrants in New York City, bro, getting $1,000 a month just cause, not taxpayers, getting housed in luxury hotels, committing crimes and just being released. It was out of this world. And now we got to deal with that, with the problem they created, and our kids got to deal with that problem. But I don't think this is the way to deal with it. But I do think if you're good, you should be able to get temporary citizenship right now, or temporary legal status right now, till we figure this shit out. Because all we really looking for is the criminals, ain't we? And then we need to reform the immigration process to make it easier for people who need to get in. But there's a lot of people on the waiting list, and they're just getting cut in line.
Many people here that we don't even know who they are and what kind of criminal activities they are participating in and all this. So it's a shame, the whole thing, because we have a country that needs workers,
Yeah.
And when you look at south of the border, they want to work. So it's a perfect
And a lot of you Americans, bro, y'all is lazy as shit. No,
match. But let's do it legal and let's do it in a coherent way
kinda, but
rather
I am,
than doing
but
it
not.
the way it is right now, which is a disaster. And I told you, that's what makes me so disappointed that both of the parties do not want to go and solve this problem once and for all and create good immigration reform. The way, you know, like
Neither party wants to do it.
And John McCain worked it out, and they had a really great.
And it's up to the people to get educated. There's so many people. I'm sorry to keep cutting him off, but I'm so tired of people like credit to Ben. I don't want to keep attacking you, and I don't want to keep but like we're so divided. Like there's only two sides when there's common ground, guys. There's common ground, and it doesn't happen. Instead, what's been happening is the two parties have been doing everything they can and creating whatever narrative they can to side with them, as opposed to just listening to the people, serving the people and what they want. The majority of people do not like illegal immigration, but the majority of people also don't like the way we're handling it. We don't want open borders, but we also don't like the aggressive tactics that are being used right now. Where is the common ground here? And it might be easier said than done, but it needs to be discussed, and the two parties will not discuss it. And then you have extreme people on both sides who are rioting and shit between what was that? The Capitol riots. I would consider it a riot. They were definitely. I watched some videos, and there's clips of peaceful protests. A lot of them were peaceful. But you could say the same thing for the riots that you were seeing, the No Kings riots. They're still riots, right?
Bill there, but then they didn't go for it.
Do you, as someone who has experience with predators, how would you handle Donald Trump in this situation where he is?
Jimmy better chill. He about to get sued. You didn't see what happened to CNN, bro? Didn't they have to pay? They settled with Trump for like $10 million, something like that.
Threatening to withhold federal funding
Calling
from
him a predator.
Our students, from our schools, from disabled students. We are a state that pays more to the federal government than we get in return from the federal government.
And why are you only talking about the federal government? Think about what you're saying. What is the local and state government doing? I've been to Cali. Every single time I touch down in San Jose, love the people, but every time I touch down to San Jose, I'm in the Oakland area, something like that, rental car gets broken into. Every single time, bro. And it's okay. Nothing happens. Nothing.
Is it realistic, this idea that Governor Newsom has floated, that we would just stop
Police
paying
will just watch it.
them the money that we pay them?
Well, it sounds always easy, isn't it?
It sounds easy, but it never is.
It doesn't happen because every individual in California pays taxes, pays the state tax, local tax, and pays federal tax. So how are you going to stop them from doing that? And then if the IRS coming after you. I mean, this is, look, I just want everyone to know this is all dialogue. This is rhetoric. The left going after the right going after the left. I mean, the bottom line is they should get together rather than always pointing the finger at each other. They should really get together and solve this problem because that's what the American people want. They want to have this problem solved.
Yeah, well, it seems like our president doesn't want to have this problem solved. He wants to create problems here in our state.
I have to tell you.
But Jimmy, I never once heard you say some shit like that about Biden, Kamala. Am I tripping here? Go hard in the paint against Trump.
People always...
And that's why people don't trust media anymore.
They said, oh my God, what's going on in America right now and all this stuff. And I said to them, relax. I've come over here in 1968.
Hey, this is the part right here. This is the part right here. Get in your bag. Credit to the band. You need to listen to this part, brother.
It was a disaster. I mean, even the most fantastic country. But I came over.
Like, you guys think we have problems now? January 11th happened. I mean, not January. September 11th, 9/11 happened. We didn't go to World War. We went to war. We didn't go to World War. 9/11 happened. Think about that. We've been through some crazy times in the past 30, 40 years. Give America some more credit.
In America right now and all this stuff. And I said to them, I said, relax. I've come over here in 1968 where it was a disaster. I mean, even the most fantastic country, but I came over here, 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. There were the riots left and right because of the Vietnam War. There were the protests.
In his bag right now.
There was the attack on the Democratic Convention in Chicago. And then after that, there was Watergate. And the thing went on and on and on where people said, what is going on in America? And we got out of that mess.
Yep.
So America will always get out of this mess. And we will get out of this. Believe me, this will be solved, this issue. Los Angeles will always be a great city to come to. I'm very, very proud of Los Angeles. And I think the key thing here is that the federal government and the state and the locals work together to solve those problems.
People need to hear that because people are looking for something positive. I think a lot of people are feeling disheartened and like, oh, things are not going to get better. They're going to get worse.
Let me tell everyone here, I travel a lot. And I just came back from Europe. And today, as much as 50 years ago, the same amount of people come up to me and says, Arnold, please, can you help me to get to America?
They do.
Let's
Because
go.
it's the greatest country in the world. It is the best country
Let's
in the world.
go.
It is fantastic. No matter who is leading it and all this stuff.
What a
people
great
come
take.
And go, but this always will be the greatest country. And this is why I cannot wait to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America and to just once again say thank you, America, for,
What a great guy.
bringing me into this country and showing me this enormous generosity. Everything that I've ever accomplished in my life is because of America. That's the bottom line.
You are, why were you in Europe? What were you doing there over in Europe?
I was in Europe. I was doing an...
What a great guy, bro. No one wants to go on this. I can assure you, no one. Shut your ass up, boy. You know the hell you talking
conference.
about. Nah, but I guess Arnold was on this show and was in his bag. Let's see what happened.
I'll watch this. So this is Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about the immigration thing. All right, let's see what he says.
If you are an immigrant, you're an immigrant in this country. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family
Like
that
he's
I've
done in his
created,
life.
all of this is
People forget about Arnold Schwarzenegger being the governor of California.
He
because
won.
of America.
Little side quest.
And so this is why I'm
Little
so
side quest.
happy
He's done so
to
well.
see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world and it is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant, but the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal.
They're not going to like that. Oh, uh-oh.
That is the important thing, so you got to...
They always acting like immigrant and illegal immigrant are the same thing. They not. Can we just make that clear already? Can we stop doing that? Because it's not right to the people who are waiting in line. It's not the same thing. I don't like when people cut me at the airport. I don't like when people cut me at the fair. I don't like when people... Now, I understand some people have more reason to get there than I do. Probably want it more than I do. And I don't know how to manage that. But we got to stop the whole illegal immigrant and immigrant and making it the same as if it's the same damn definition.
Do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America, they are not smart.
Yeah, I fucking agree.
Because when you come to America, you're a guest. You have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything.
Whenever you go to somebody's house, you don't go in their garage and light their car on fire. You don't do that. That's rude.
Keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do.
Why are you touching
rather
him?
than committing a crime or being
Oh,
abusive
you're
or
wrong.
something
Let me
like that.
tell you
the
why.
important thing is
Girl,
when you become an immigrant, you think.
Girl, you haven't accomplished a speck of what Arnold has. Listen to him. Shut the hell up. Don't be so antsy to talk to him. Don't put your hand on his arm because you want him to shut up. You want him to finish his point already. No.
About, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America,
what am I
then
going
I have to give something back. But you have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to go and do something for your community, for make this country a better place.
Boy in his bag.
Yeah, but first time they were quiet, and you can see how he got them to quiet down. At the beginning, he baited them along.
But the key thing also is at the same.
Here we go.
That we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America, and
you can see they tried to interrupt them. They tried to stop him from saying anything after that. What? What do you mean? What do you mean legal?
Oh, I want to hear her part, man. I want to hear what she had to say, bro. Bad cut, bad cut. Here we go. Excuse me.
To create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant, that came to America, I was asked to do, on July 4th, a big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, and where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech there. They asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate people becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of a history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can to keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
Arnold, don't forget, there's 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing.
They're less likely to commit crimes.
And a lot of what's happening right now is people are getting snatched who shouldn't be snatched out of the country, people who have visas, people who have all those things. So we want all the right people. We don't want people who are doing bad stuff.
But they are less likely, immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes in this country than actually.
Why do you keep saying immigrants? We're all immigrants.
American-born citizens. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that Governor Newsom did.
See, she wants to divide. She wants to make a division between American-born and immigrants. It's not the same, bro.
Not ask for the National Guard to come to, the federal government to come to California. There are 9,000 local law enforcement officers in California. Did he really?
Everybody has to follow the law.
I mean, look, this is a whole other issue because remember, the National Guard is under the governor's supervision.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, like for instance, when the National Guard was sent to Iraq during the Iraqi War, I was not the one that said, "Oh yeah, go to Iraq." The Bush administration came and said, "We need those people."
They came
and
to you.
They came to us, and we need the resources, we need the equipment, we need the weapons, we need the vehicles to ship to Iraq, and then they ship
It's the
to
coordination.
Iraq. So that's why I say it is very important that we work together.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who is asking whom. The bottom line is we work together in order to solve the problem.
Yeah. Yes. Can't just go in and do stuff. We all.
I agree with that. Amen. Amen. We need more leadership like Arnold. Less leadership like The View. That's for damn sure. Literally part of the problem. Literally part of the problem when it comes to this whole division and one-sided and party side. Like, that's The View for sure. But anyways, yo, I wanted to put you guys on. If you've never heard of vibe coding and you just want something on the side to help, with your brain, with your ideas. Vibe coding, although it's overwhelming. This whole time, that's what I've been doing, by the way. Let me show you guys. So you guys can see. So these windows right here, I am coding using Cursor, combination of Cursor, Claude Code, a few things. And man, I'm building apps, web apps, software, and it's a lot of fun. So I want to put you guys on because if you got time to learn something new on the side, man, this might be something you want to check out. Let me see if this will explain it. I gotta leave in 5 minutes, but
programming world went mad with a disease called the vibe coding mind virus. For those who have not yet been infected, vibe coding is a term coined by ex-OpenAI wizard Andrej Karpathy, where you fully give in to the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists. This term has taken the world by storm, and virtually every code influencer on the internet right now is following in the footsteps of Apex indie hacker Peter Levels, who recently vibe coded a crappy real-time flight simulator MMO with JavaScript. Then he leveraged his large Twitter following to sell in-game advertisements and make a ton of money. You gotta respect the pure tech bro genius here, but the problem is that now everybody is vibe coding crappy games and flooding the internet with more and more AI generated slop. But according to the CEO of Anthropic, this is the way. He recently stated that in just 12 months, virtually all code will be written by AI. And in today's video, we'll look at real life examples of when vibe coding goes wrong and check out some awesome tools and techniques to help you vibe properly. It is March 26, 2025.
There's gonna be a lot of AI slop, but that's just not gonna be successful, and if it is, it's going to be temporary, right? But there's a lot of amazing softwares that are being used being built with AI.
And you're watching the Code Report. The first thing you need to realize is that coding and programming are not the same. Coding is the skill of translating logic into instructions for a computer by writing code. An elite coder might be able to bang out 100 words per minute of perfect C code in Vim purely from memorized syntax, but large language models are making this skill obsolete. An 8-year-old prompter can now write code faster than a skilled professional with 20 years of experience. But programming is a far broader skill that's hard to describe. It's both an art and a science that requires ingenuity, creativity, and good instincts gained through experience. The best programmers often spend more time removing code than writing code. And if you don't understand the code you're vibing out like a true programmer, you won't get very far. Like this poor guy on the internet vibe coded a SaaS product and even had paying customers, which is a huge achievement for an indie hacker. Upon learning about his success, the trolls of the internet came out and hacked it to pieces. Quote, random thing are happening, maxed out usage on API keys, people bypassing the subscription, again, creating random shit on DB. This is taking me longer than usual to figure out. Ultimately, the app was taken down permanently, and the guy had to beg for his job back at Popeyes. Sadly, there are many such cases, but when done properly, vibe coding can work. And I think it's only a matter of time before we see a billion-dollar business that runs entirely on vibes, which will likely be built with tools like V0 or Bolt, along with AI IDEs like Cursor and Windsurf. But if you choose to vibe max your code with tools like these, I would highly recommend following these 3 rules. Rule number 1, choose a popular, simple tech stack. Something like React, Express, Tailwind, Redis, and Dino should be ideal for web dev. The reality is that these LLMs are best at solving problems that people have already solved on places like GitHub, Stack Overflow, etc. And that means even though you hate React, trying to use that fancy new JavaScript framework is going to kill your vibes. Actually, screw that, my preferred choice is Svelte, but I've actually been getting really good vibe coding results with Vue.js and Nuxt. So this rule is breakable. Rule number 2, though, is not breakable, and that is to get good at Git. When AI takes control of your code, that means it also has the power to delete your working code. And when that happens, it's almost impossible to prompt it back into existence. However, if you're disciplined and use version control, you would have stashed that good working code somewhere safe. In fact, you can use tools like Claude Code to vibe commit your code for you, or check out my full Git course if you want to learn it by hand.
Yeah, I use
But
Claude
the most
Code.
important rule is rule number 3. Ask not what your AI can do for you, but what can you do for your AI. You're not a coder anymore, you're a product manager. And if you want to be a good one, you need to break down complex requirements into small steps. They should be highly specific and also provide the proper context to solve the problem, like recent documentation and images for UI design. It might sound like a vibe killer, but you don't want your LLM to get creative. You want it to be as deterministic as possible. As a developer who's highly skilled in building failed side projects, I've never felt more powerful. That being said, I think relying on vibes only is still a bad idea. Like the Levels flight simulator had all kinds of issues, and it likely would have failed miserably if it weren't for the developer's many years of experience as a foundation. But now that you know how to vibe code like a true professional, you also need to know how to write like a true professional. And the best tool to get you there is Grammarly, the sponsor of today's video. It's an AI writing partner that helps professionals get their work done faster while improving quality. And unlike other AI tools, it works directly with all the communication apps you already use, making it a much more seamless experience. Like whenever there's a text box, Grammarly automatically provides one-click suggestions and rewrites it to speed up your writing process, without the need to copy and paste from an AI chatbot. It's perfect for polishing emails, writing pull request descriptions, or replying to ridiculously long Slack messages from your boss, while making sure that you always sound like yourself and not a soulless robot. And its high-quality suggestions do a great job of matching the tone to the audience you're writing for. Sign up and download Grammarly for free today using the link below. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. It seems like...
All right, if you've never heard of vibe coding, go do your research, y'all. That's it for me. I'll probably be back on live in a couple hours. Gotta go drop off my son at basketball practice. Y'all have a good night.